Hey guys, before we get this party started, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. As y'all know, we love our friends over at Seed & Smith and Callie's Cannabis. If there's any kind of pin we can hit, we want that Seed & Smith dart in our hands. And if we're downtown and partying and we need to grab some flower, we always lean on the people that have the best rewards program and the daily deals of the day that help everybody out. There's something different every day of the week over at Callie's Cannabis. So we thank y'all so much. But we also want to give a special shout out to our friends here at Flex Office Denver. They have a podcast studio. They have a shared workspace and all the accoutrements of working downtown available to you if you want to check them out. And a super shout out to our buddy Jeff Furberg, whatever. We love you dearly, brother. Thanks for always taking care of us and hooking it up. Now, our episode with Andy Frasco.
The suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
I got Winnie Fox.
Party going. Yeah. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Stone d'Appetit with your hosts, as always. It's me, Kip, and to my right, I got CB. CB, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing great. I'm normally on your left side, though.
Yeah, it's a little bit bizarre, but that's because we're back in the Flex Office Denver studios. Whenever we have somebody that we want to impress, we go and steal Fireberg's fucking podcast studios.
Of course. We look professional.
Yeah, we look semi-professional, but we're doing a semi-professional episode today.
And I want to say this might be my first episode to be on with a musical guest.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we've talked to like people in the festival business and stuff like that, but I wasn't here for some other guests we've had.
Yeah, so we've primarily stayed in the jam band scene because that is our scene, and that doesn't stop today. You know, we have a pretty gnarly guest with us. Friend of the program is Mr. Andy Frasco. Andy.
What up, dudes? Dude, are y'all both Southern?
Yeah.
We are.
I can hear it, dog. It's like two Southern boys in Denver, Colorado.
I mean, you're the LA boy, so it's kind of like you're the fish out of water.
I know. You guys have lived here forever. You lived here forever?
I moved out here in 2010.
Damn. Yeah,
so that's pretty much fucking forever, yeah.
I'm the noob, dude. You too. You're 8 years or 6 years?
I'm at 10.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I know. So we have a little bit of knowledge, mainly about the food, booze, partying, and cannabis scenes.
Oh,
so, like,
perfect.
Visiting you at Red Rocks was a highlight of this year's campaigns.
Respect.
But that is kind of our thing. You know, that's what brought us our horses to water, was the scene out here in Colorado. And I feel, you know, just 1 year under your belt, joining us since COVID, but you've made the most of yours before we could do fucking shit in hours. You're slaying this scene, brother.
Dude. Oh, man. It's been definitely a lot of work, but also a blessing that, you know, not saying that COVID was a blessing or anything, but like gave me
the Denver scene,
the community, and for me to finally like not be on tour and actually be involved in a scene has like helped me and my brain to like think of other things. You know, I couldn't have never done the dance party without being in Denver, or I don't think the podcast would have taken off as much if I wasn't in Denver, you know, thinking about how to keep people happy through such a fucking weird time, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you are kind of a product of your environment in that instance, and that you are in this happily nature. And, you know, I know where you're doing the dance party is a fucking party, and the people are great and around you, and so you kind of have that, you know, that nucleus of things that where you can have things foster and grow. And so you've gotten that ability here in Denver, but you've taken off nationwide. And so for our listeners that don't know, Andy Frasco and the band and the United Nations is a touring band that's, I'd put somewhere in the rock jam band genre. It kind of transcends just being a jam band scene because it's on every radio channel in America. But he also is the host of the Shit Show podcast, which is one of the funnier fucking podcasts, but also a real one. You know, you get real with musicians and comedians and actors and everybody alike, and you just have real down-to-earth conversations because you're a down-to-earth dude. And then you do have the fucking dance party, which you can find on most late-night Twitch streams.
Yeah, where I take drugs and have people watch me just get sweaty and dance with a bunch of YouTubers.
I was about to say, you have like 100,000 people dancing with you in their den across the country.
Yeah, it's been getting bigger and bigger. Our last one was 310,000 people.
Holy fuck. Hold on. What is this?
I just dance. I do basically like a Twitch dance party, but with my partners at Relics, we built this technology where we could like get everyone into this like dance room. And I basically like, they'll put them up one by one for me to see, and we're like talking shit. I'm like, it's like
a call line at a radio show, but it's a video call line of people partying with Andy to his stream of music.
We're playing like fucking Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited, and I'm just like naked.
Okay.
It's like 80s. It was like I started it for because you know, it's like we wanted to get how can we build community when we're all just sitting in our fucking couches mourning this thing. So I'm like, let's just try to make a dance party where everyone could be involved from their living rooms. And from there, we've done like 26 episodes, and I'm still doing it while I'm on tour now. That's
awesome.
He did one recently, which the one he's speaking of that went viral was the late night session after a concert at Red Rock. So he was like late night at the beach, and he went and did this dance party, and he ends up ending the dance party by going off on this boat into the water, and it's one of the funniest fucking things. I was cackling, laughing, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on out here?"
And first off, there's a lake in the middle of Denver, which I was like, I'm still super surprised about, and to like have like a wireless camera guy now, where I could just go anywhere in the room. I could go to the gym. I could go to all because there's a party in the house always, and it's like each room has its own different vibe going on. So I'm just like bringing a cameraman, some people are just smoking a joint upstairs in the living room. Some people are just like beer bonging in the gym. And I'm just like pumping iron and watching
Chris,
people beer.
All right, I'm going to check this out.
But
that'll be my homework.
He's not a one-trick pony is what I was trying to say. He is a fantastic entertainer. We got to know Andy, obviously, through social media, but through him moving to Denver. And I got to see his first concert live was at Red Rocks this year when he headlined. Let me fucking tell you what, Chris. This thing he had people running up and down the aisles. It was like an exercise. Like, I don't know how he did it, but it's
a show.
He's a showman. It's an infectious personality he shares. And he's got a concert coming next fucking week for those that are listening. Andy's going to sell it to you through this episode today. But go online right now, axis.com, AXS, buy tickets, Andy Frasco in the UN at the Ogden. That's not an ad.
How are these recording?
These are recording through the computer, through the switchboard.
This is cool.
High tech shit we got going on.
I have a podcast. I have a Rodcaster too. This is awesome.
And then we use this for when we're on the road. So like if we ever did one of these on the road, this is bad radio, but we use the Zoom H6. Yeah. But before we sorry, I'll cut that shit out.
I like it.
Let's just show all our gear.
Dude.
So we got that upcoming concert, but first, like, I didn't even catch like what brought you to Denver. Why?
My manager lives in Denver, and I signed a contract, like a 5-year contract with him. And I always think of everything like sports. Like I'm such a huge sports head. And I'm just like in my head, I'm like, I'm taking my talents to Denver. I signed the contract. I'm like, I'm buying the house. I'm doing the whole thing, We're taking I'm taking my talents to Denver, Colorado.
So you said bye to LA?
I was in Kansas City. I mean, like, I really haven't been anywhere. I've been doing 250 shows a year for the last 15 years. So I've just been living on the road, living in my van for 11 months a year. And then I started this like real estate company with my buddy Scott, and we started buying condos around the country and just like Airbnb-ing them. And then when my band's in town or regionally, or if I want to like get away and go to that town, I just do that. And we bought a couple, and then because Denver's so expensive, I had to sell it. And then we bought in Denver, and now it's just it's been great to have a home base here. It's like now I have somewhere to go, and I can finally build community. That was the hardest part about touring so much is you lose your community, and then if you don't come back, they end up forgetting about you. So I had to build roots somewhere, and I picked Denver. I love it here. Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Andy Frasco history while we're on the topic. I know we went tangents early, but I always go tangents often. How'd you get in? Was it always Andy Frasco and the UN playing kind of like that American rock jam band, or how'd you find your roots?
Growing up in LA, I was like into pop punk music and like the Vans Warped Tour and stuff. But
shout out to Biloxi, Mississippi.
Hell yeah. And I just had an epiphany, like, why are there 4 bands on these shows? Like, who's making money? Everyone's doing 30-minute sets. No one's probably making any money in this scene unless you're like the 1%. So I'm like, why don't I try the South and see what they're listening out there and what type of music they're listening to in the South and Midwest. And they're all listening like jam music. And I'm like, I never really listened to jam music, but I need to build a consistent base. So I bought a van. I had like $8,000 left of my bar mitzvah money, or $9,000. I bought a van, and I would just Craigslist musicians until I got to the South. And I was like building my whole show like a Chuck Berry style, where I would just have all these locals play with me every single night. And we'd just do the same fucking 3-chord songs. And I would just learn how to be a conductor and learn how to just keep people entertained, the bars entertained for 3 hours, crowd surfing, chugging beers with like the bros or the frats or whatever. And from there, I finally found my band. Sean Eccles was from Springfield, Missouri. And then I went back to LA and got a couple guys from LA, and we just started doing this whole thing nonstop. And I've lived in a van ever since. And then I really dove into rock and jam scene and listening, like finally hearing about like Fish and the Grateful Dead and Widespread Panic and Humphreys McGee. And because I was like a big hip hop head too, like old school, like LA West Coast hip hop. And then I just got into that stuff, and then I find out about drugs and shit. I never was into drugs. Like, I was just like, workaholic, and that scene loves fucking drugs. So I was like, all right, I'll take some psychedelics and coke or whatever. And, and then all of a sudden one thing led to another. I was in the jam scene.
It happens that quick.
Dude, it does.
All it takes is one show.
It takes one show and a big bag of mushrooms, and I'm all of a sudden in the jam scene. And then I fell in love with it. And, like, the community is such a beautiful community. And everyone in it is just so supportive, and like you don't have to like you could be whoever you want to be in this scene, and they'll accept you. And I'm thankful I found that versus being like a fucking indie dude.
You didn't want to have to be that journeyman where you couldn't find a community.
Yeah, it ended up like I'm wearing a straw hat and shit, and like fucking singing songs about America and shit. Like, I don't know if that's not me, dude.
At least you get to wear a different fucking Lakers jersey.
Yeah, I guess that's my straw hat. Is the Lakers jersey.
What is your? I mean, I've seen you on the dance show as well. You have an eclectic wardrobe. What does the wardrobe look like when you're on tour for 11 months a year? Is everybody living out of one bag and doing laundry every day?
Yeah, we basically have clothes because we've kind of like, I hate having more than one bag, so I basically just stack it with a bunch of Laker jerseys and then like 3 pairs of jeans, tons of underwear, and Birkenstocks. And maybe a couple white T-shirts just in case I
throw up on
I
one
go
of the
on
jerseys.
a date or something.
Play your cards right.
Play my cards right.
The bar manager's like, yeah, you can take me out for lunch tomorrow when you come to pick your credit card back up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
P.S. I won't wear the jersey.
Yeah. It's my date night shirt is like just a Laker T-shirt.
The jersey, like that one year where they had the sleeves. Be like, babe, it's the LeBron black Laker jersey.
Those are so ugly, but also so efficient to what I need in my life. I can't be rocking tank tops my whole existence.
Just slowly kind of yield into that because you're still a young guy, and you have a lot of fervor and life left in you. So don't just go to the jersey just yet.
No,
let the guns burn.
I'm gonna put a bun down over my jersey.
Oh, there you go, the Magic Johnson.
The Magic Johnson.
I like it. He's a Laker all the time.
Yeah.
All right, so before we dive into, I guess, what's going on in Denver next week, let's talk a little bit. I guess I have some tour questions because you mentioned you love the South. We come from that area. You've been a journeyman 11 months a year. You've got to have found some spots along the way that you really loved. One of the questions I was going to ask was, what was the bands from the South that kind of gave you the inspiration, but you answered that already.
Yeah.